Hey everybody, this is Carl back again for another TV show spoiler review. We're nearly done with all the X-Men related TV shows that I've been doing for the past, like, it's almost probably gonna be going on for a couple of months now of me reviewing a lot of X-Men related content, and there's still more to come. But as far as the TV shows are concerned, I'm nearly done. I'm covering for right now in this video the Marvel anime Wolverine. Then the last one will be Marvel anime X-Men. And that'll be like the end of all the X-Men related TV shows that I covered. So I know I'm going to ask this when I cover Marvel anime X-Men, but out of all the X-Men TV shows, which one was your favorite? How would you rank them? Because I covered 90s X-Men TV show, Wolverine and the X-Men, X-Men Evolution. Right now I'm going to be covering Marvel anime Wolverine, and then pretty soon Marvel anime X-Men. So out of all the TV shows, which one was the best? Or how would you rank them? As far as the comics are concerned, as far as the solo comics, I'm nearly done with all those. Just finished a Deadpool mini-series comic, which should be on the YouTube channel fairly soon. After Deadpool, I got at least 4 more solo comics to get through. Hope Summers, Magneto, Quicksilver, and wrap it up with Scarlet Witch, because there's a Scarlet Witch comic that's currently going on that I think is 10 issues. So by the time I want to leave that last, because by the time by the time I get to that, it should be done, so I can like do it all in one go. Because that's why I've been holding off on like Magneto's family. And once I'm done with Scarlet Witch, I will be getting into some X-Men stuff, one X-Force storyline and one X-Factor storyline, and and like several of the most iconic X-Men stories pretty soon. But as far as the movies are concerned, this Saturday I'll be covering Deadpool 2. Then I got the First Class, Days of Future Past, Apocalypse, and Dark Phoenix. So 4 more. The movies are I'll be covering 4 more, and then those will be done. And I can get back to like the regular kind of movies I want to start getting into. But then yeah, of course the comics are still be fairly close. We're fairly close to getting this whole goal complete. But anyway, Marvel Wolverine, Marvel anime Wolverine. Before we get into it, please like and subscribe, hit that notification bell if you're watching this on YouTube. Follow me in the links in the description below: Twitch, Twitter, Patreon, Instagram. Definitely give me a follow. Let me know what you think of the content. Like many others so far has been like giving me a lot of cool feedback. There was a person who reached out to me who checked out I only did 2 of those. I thought it was gonna be like an ongoing thing, but it kind of fell through. It's like I'm doing too much, and I feel like I'm overextending myself. But they saw one of my Seto Kaiba psychology videos that I did last year. It gave me some cool feedback and loved what I did, so it was really nice. So definitely check out all the content I have on the channel. It's been fun. It's been a fun go of things. But anyway, I did Marvel anime Iron Man. That was the first one I did, and I'll be clearing up all of the Marvel animes, because of course, I'm doing the X-Men one right after this, but the last one will be Blade, but I won't cover that until October during my Halloween theme month, while I'm covering the Blade films, which I thought about doing just only the first two, but I figured I might as well do all three and get them all done. There's gonna be a lot of vampire stuff when we covering this October, but we'll get to it when we get to it. But anyway, this this particular arc is centered around the same story that I covered in my first Wolverine comic book review, where he goes, which is also based off the Wolverine film, where Logan goes to Japan and has like a relationship with Murako and the whole situation with the Yoshida family and so forth. But there's a certain twist to certain some of the story beats here. So one of Logan's old Secret Service buddies, Asano, comes to New York seeking for Wolverine's help, in hopes of trying to take down Shingen's crime organization. And it also involves his, old girlfriend, Murako, who's about to be married to this shit stain named Hideki. Pretty sure, yes, Hideki, who, like in the comics, beats on her and whatever. Pretty much using like his own daughter as like a bargaining chip to further expand his criminal empire with Hideki's connections. And Logan want to put a stop to this because these guys are just evil people who don't really care about Murako. And so they travel to Japan, and just like in the comic, when he first tried to go up against Shingen, he gets his ass kicked because well, in this context, Shingen, like in the comics, Shingen was just a more skilled fighter, while Wolverine relied too much on his savage nature to try to win him the fight like it usually does. This is a more civilized kind of combat where Wolverine at first isn't adept at. Here, which I don't know, I think because in the anime they're trying to give Hideki more agency than, I'm not sure he's named Hideki in the comic, but same guy in the comic, where in the comic he doesn't seem like to offer much beyond that he's just a scumbag. Here is a little bit more layers to him because he's like a complete coward, and he even killed his own dad, to poison his own dad because he like, oh, my father always thought me as weak and not able, not a man and not able to handle certain things or properly lead. So and it's like a running thing with Hideki, because just like with any kind of like bully, as soon as you start standing up to him, you see how much of a coward he really is. But he always get big and bad. It's kind of like when you're on the phone, somebody talk very big and tough when they're on the phone, but once confronted, they more often than not they get a little more quiet. And he always hiding behind something, whether it's the more powerful Shingen or some bulletproof glass box or a metal door or whatever. Hideki secretly shoots Logan with like a poison dart thing. Even though Wolverine will heal over that, it still neutralizes him long enough for Sinjin to easily overpower him. And because he lost this mock duel, because Shinjin didn't want to use real swords, he used like a training sword because he felt like Wolverine, it doesn't have honor to be worthy of a real fight. So he beats him with a training sword. Hideki is supposed to have him taken out somewhere to be executed, but Wolverine is saved by Yuriko, who, unlike in the comics, who's more like a thrill seeker hit lady. Here, they tweaked her story a bit because they don't want to do like a whole play-by-play from the comic. Just like in the movie, they didn't want to do a same play-by-play of the comic. They want to do certain twists to it, so you won't be like anticipating every little thing going on. Yuriko here, instead of being like a thrill seeker who's like in love with Wolverine and has dangerous sex with him, endangering their life by trying to have sex with him on top of like a train tracks of a bullet train, things of that nature. Here she's wants to kill Sinjin because here she is the daughter of one of Sinjin's old female assassins who was tasked to take out a guy who she ends up falling in love with, and that's her parents. Sinjin ends up killing them both, leaving Yuriko an orphan. And eventually she kind of risen up to the ranks of the underworld, became like a hit lady, just to get her revenge on Sinjin. But she ends up getting the help of Wolverine in order to get in his which is kind of like dumb in a way, because like in the comics, she is responsible for killing Asana, which Wolverine thinks is his other assassin named Kikyo, who is voiced by Steve Bloom, because you can hear that Orochimaru voice through his character, and which is also super ironic because Steve Bloom voices Wolverine a lot. And I guess because in this in this Marvel anime, I don't know, because I think he comes back to voice Wolverine in the X-Men anime, so I'm not sure, because I guess he's supposed to be like a younger Wolverine, but Milo Ventimiglia, who you might remember is the main leads in the TV show Heroes back in the day. And of course, he's been in other TV shows here and there and movies here and there too. So he's a really good actor. But I just remember the guy from Heroes, to be honest. But I swear I thought it was Jensen Ackles. So it kind of sort of sounds similar. But I guess Steve Bloom is a more gruffer version of Wolverine. It works either way to me. But Kikyo, I guess, is like a mutant too. And ironically, he got similar-ish powers as Wolverine because he can heal too. And instead of claws, he has katana swords coming out of his palms of his hands. And I'm not even sure exactly how that freaking works, because if it comes out of the palm of your hand like this, it should be like, because how can you properly grip and swing a sword? But somehow it comes out just far enough, I guess, where he can actually wield it by hand properly. And when I first saw this, because it aired, these Marvel animes aired on Toonami a long time ago, and ever since then, I was always confused, like, how does he, like, because it's kind of like expecting the Wolverine's claws to like bend in a way so he can like do stabbing motions by this, but it should be like, as it comes out of his palm of his hands, I'm getting, overthinking it, but it just seems like, how does it freaking work physically? Anyway, it was Yuriko who kills him, just like in the comics, but there's more purpose behind the way she did it here, which is still kind of dumb in my opinion, because she feels like she doesn't think he would actually come help her, because he only concerned about saving Miracle and not gonna from the jump saying like, oh yeah, I'll team up with you in order for you to get your revenge against Shinjin. But you would think like, Wolverine would, because their goals are aligned, he would have helped. He at least got you there, because he probably wants Shinjin's dead as much as you do, but she does this whole subterfuge that I don't really agree with. Matter of fact, now I'm thinking about it, I think I liked it better in the comics, where she's just like a, she's simping for Wolverine and kind of like a thrill seeker. But Kikyo was hired in order to take out Wolverine, but he only wants an honorable fight. And eventually, he ends up helping Wolverine, because like, I can't have like a honest to goodness fight with this guy, because you guys keep manipulating him and his thoughts are elsewhere. He's not on the fight. So I won't get like a real fight with this guy because he's too preoccupied with other crap. And then he doesn't, kind of like with Deadpool, it's like, it's like a hired gun. He doesn't like killing defenseless kids or killing kids in general. It doesn't seem that honorable. So him and Yuriko get the idea of, okay, we'll disrupt Shinjin's operations to get his attention, kind of cripple him. And then once they try to Molotov bomb one of Shinjin's shipments on the pier, turns out one of the cargoes is Omega Red, one of Wolverine's old adversaries. And of course, he has carbonadium coils that can easily rival that of adamantium. And given his abilities to sap the life force from anybody wrapped in his coils, makes it like a very devastating opponent for Wolverine. So Kikyo is trying to help, but you see like the backstory of how like Wolverine met up with Omega Red, because back in the day, Wolverine worked with Shield in order to get this carbonadium sample thing, and this little serum thing that Omega Red is tasked to get back, supposed to help him. It's kind of like Blade serum, where it keeps him like because he still craves blood, but his serum is kind of like a good substitute for that. And it's kind of like that for Omega Red, where he needs that. Otherwise, his power is like, it feels like his skin is on fire or something like that. It's like it kind of keeps everything very mellow for him. So he just like has like a blood rage for Wolverine. So thanks to Kikyo and Yuriko, they managed to defeat Omega Red. And when the Japanese police are also who's been tasked to try to stop Sinjin's criminal organization, everything's feel like okay, like there's too many, you know, enemies coming in from all sides. So Sinjin decides to take the wedding to Madripoor, where no police organization from other countries have any jurisdiction over. But it doesn't stop Wolverine and Yuriko from getting there. But they need a ride. Just like Wolverine showed up as a cameo for Iron Man's arc to help him out in one episode, which is, I think, the Iron Man one is probably like my favorite one. I vaguely remember Blade. That's what I'm looking forward to, probably rewatching anime Blade, because I fairly remember. It seems like I remember more so what's going on with Wolverine and Iron Man than I did with X-Men and Blade. But I think Wolverine had the most cameos out of the four. I do remember that, which I thought was kind of, well, except for the one starring him, Cyclops comes in on the Blackbird. Wolverine calls Cyclops to give him a ride to Madripoor, but you know, Cyclops offers, you know, to assist him or get the X-Men involved, but like, you know, Wolverine's like, because it's his thing, his adventure is like, no, I got this, you know, this is a personal business of mine. So, you know, I think Cyclops could easily help at the very least, or provide some, you know, needed backup. But he goes away, and now they're on Madripoor. And now I'm talking about it, I always thought it was kind of like, I want to say lame, but it's just, I love Wolverine as much as the next person, but it'd been kind of like cool where, since it's these four arcs should have each one of them like show up in the others, at least for one episode, as like a helping cameo in each of the shows. Since Wolverine showed up in an episode in Iron Man's arc to help him out in one of the attacks with the Zodiac, you know, and Cyclops showed up in Wolverine's arc to help him get to Madripoor. Like, I don't know if there was actually any cameos for X-Men. Once I get through it, I'll see. But get Iron Man in there to help out in a particular episode in that, I thought that would be a good idea. And then in Blade, you get I guess one of the X-Men, not Wolverine, because, you know, I think Wolverine showed up in all of the other arcs. And I don't know, maybe not Cyclops, or maybe Storm, because, you know, you get Storm helping out, or given that Beast is a scientist, like Blade might need help with a serum. He's running out, and Whistler is in the States, and Beast, you know, is on some kind of task for the X-Men in Japan, and he bumps into Blade and it's like, hey, I know you're a scientist, can you help me whip up like a serum, you know, a couple of batches for serum for me to get through this adventure? And Beast helps out in a particular episode, something like that, you know. But last time I remember, I think other than like the X-Men and his own arc, Wolverine showed up in everything, and it's like, it's kind of lame in a way. But anyway, they're in Madripoor. He gets separated with Yuriko after they get like an ambush, but Wolverine is saved by the denizens of Madripoor, like the real civilians that's fighting against all these criminals and outlaws that took up residence on this island. And there's this leader named Ko, along with this young girl named Min, who are trying to fight back against Sinjin in particular, because he pretty much like kind of took over Magicport as a whole, because of like the amount of resources he managed to acquire. Ko is actually Yuriko's grandfather, who was the father of Yuriko's father, and he seeks, Sinjin's. He seeks the task of taking down Sinjin himself instead of Yuriko, but she wants it instead of him. So it's kind of like these two are at odds with that. But after explaining to Wolverine about what he needs to do in order to, because there's this, it's very anime. You talking about like a very anime thing. There's this path called what is it freaking called? Hell Path, Hell Walkway, or something like that. Well, what is it? Hell Road. Hell Road is full of all these kind of dangerous traps and adversaries that, Wolverine and Yuriko, after, Wolverine saves Yuriko from capture, they run down and try to go over these obstacles. And it's like something you will see from any anime TV show with a particular arc, trying to get to a particular goal, and they gotta go over these freaking obstacles. But Wolverine and Yuriko managed to get through these obstacles and take down a lot of these thugs. Ko set all this up in a way because knowing how dangerous Hell Road is, he didn't want to sacrifice too much of his men, because he initially sent a bunch of people down this path before, and he never returned. They see why, because you see like the road is filled with a bunch of skeletons. So rather than waste any more men, he decides to send somebody like Wolverine and Yuriko, even though it's his granddaughter. But knowing how capable Wolverine is, he should be able to at least take care of 90% of the work and pretty much nullify all the traps, so they can just leisurely walk behind them. And right at the tail end of Hell Road, they help with taking down a bunch of the guys. Then of course I kind of skipped over the part where Wolverine fights this moving statue, which shows up again at the end of Hell Road. And I don't know what the heck, they make comments about this thing as a pile of rocks or something. So obviously it's got to be, covered in some kind of particular metal armor. But Wolverine's adamantium claws cut through almost anything except adamantium itself, carbonadium, and vibranium. 3 metals that adamantium cannot cut through. Outside of that, Wolverine should easily cut this thing down in seconds. But like, I know it's for like added action and drama, but even as a kid when I first watched this, I thought it was kind of ridiculous. Like, he should easily, this should not really be much of a challenge. This should, I don't know, buy the bad guys 5 minutes tops. But Wolverine should easily like cut this thing's arms off and then get at the head, be done with it, and move the heck on. It's very little that can stop Wolverine. This part, like, I know it's nitpicky, and I know it's supposed to be added for like drama's sake, but I thought, like, come on, Wolverine. You clearly can cut into this thing, because when the thing tries to step on him, he pierces the foot and everything like that. It's like, you can cut through this thing. It was never, I mean, I would have understood if there was a brief mention of this thing being made out of adamantium or vibranium or something. Well, vibranium was very hard to get, so like you know, not many people can gain access to vibranium outside of Wakanda. And Shinjin actually has like a, you know, vibranium bodysuit, which I call freaking cap. Like, obviously, you could probably get it from the black market or something like that. Is, you know, of course, you know, Wakanda gets like the very large portion is where the meteorite fell, but there's always like those few small chunks that fell through certain parts of the world. Like, you know, America got a little bit and they made it to Cap Shield, and other random situations like that. But it's just like, it shouldn't be that easily accessed. It's kind of like, you know, how some people just have access to like kryptonite to fight against Superman. It shouldn't be that easily accessed or easily able to be found. I don't know. But they eventually, thanks to Kikyo, managed to take down this giant, I'm assuming it was like a robot or something, takes this thing down, gets inside of the tower. Ko and Yukio trying to go up against Shinjin themselves. Of course, they're not the ones going to ultimately take down Shinjin, but Ko steps in front of the deadly blow that was meant for Yuriko, sacrificing himself. Oh, and Min dies because he tries to step in. This stupid girl, you know, like, God, it was so dumb. I know it's supposed to meant to be like brave and stuff, but honestly, what does she think she's gonna do? Like, just stand like, you would not hurt you would not hurt him. This thing's a robot. It's not gonna, like, it's like Terminator. You can't reason with it. You can't bargain with it. It doesn't feel pity. What are you doing? Just grab the old man and try to move out the freaking way, or dodge the thing at best. That part was so dumb of that girl, and I was like, I don't even feel that bad. I feel bad, but I don't feel that bad for this girl dying, because she died in such a stupid way. It wasn't even honorable, but it got Kikyo into the fight where he was just on the sidelines waiting until everything's all said and done so he can have like a fight with Wolverine. But they managed to take down the freaking robot. Ko is dead too, and Yukio is like wounded in the fight. Then the final battle between Shinjin and Wolverine commences, and they fight right by like the pool side of the building. And Wolverine, just like in the movie, just like in the comic, managed to put his claws through this man's neck, but he's still alive long enough to get Yukio, with her last remaining strength, deal the final blow so she can have her revenge. And then she dies in Wolverine's arms and confesses that she was the one that killed Asano, because she just needed his help and she's very sorry and everything like that. So Kikyo and Wolverine managed to reach deep down into the bunker of the building where Hideki is holding up this little pissant, buried like a tick. And I don't know, it's like, I think I like Yukio, Murako more so in X-Men Evolution than I did in any other iteration that she's in, because in the comics he seems like a very, you know, quiet, dutiful woman and gets slapped around by this Hideki dude. And of course there's a moment where she, like, you know, tries to like fight back and everything like that. But here, I don't know, it's always times when she's just like trying to get Wolverine, instead of telling Wolverine like, hey, like I'm doing this for a reason, reason XYZ, and like, you know, like I'll always love you, but I got a duty, and like just whatever. But instead she's like, you know, not telling him her reasons. Whatever. She's too like stoic and quiet for my taste. But then one of the tippy end of the entire arc, when she's want to be a little bit more stubborn and, you know, strong-willed all of a sudden, it doesn't work for me, honestly. But Wolverine comes in, he gets poisoned again by Hideki, but he takes the dirt out of himself, stabs Hideki with it, and he gets poisoned and falls in the same grave that he kept his father. And of course, he dies like a bitch, like he's been this whole entire arc, where it's like, Father, help me. It's like, oh my god, he died as he lived, like a bitch. But of course, the gun that Hideki had in his hand went off, and of course it pierced Yuriko. She's dying, and Wolverine, you know, says his goodbyes. And then of course there's like a post-credit scene where him and Kikyo finally have that little duel where with no distractions. Leaves ambiguous, but of course you would surmise that Wolverine would have won. But that was Marvel anime Wolverine. I liked it. There are certain choices with certain characters that seemed flawed to me, like Yuriko's reasons of getting Wolverine involved, Yuriko's reasons of remaining quiet for until the tail end, when she could have just told him flat out why she's doing what she's doing, and the reasons why she has to go through with it. And then of course the choices, this is overall from all the shows, the choices of cameos that need to be fulfilled could have been fulfilled with other characters from any one of the 4 shows, instead of repeatedly using Wolverine in all of them. But yeah, like I said, like I like this pretty well. Beyond that, of course, Wolverine makes sense to be involved in Japan. He's more often than not involved in stories in the country. Iron Man definitely makes sense, given the fact that how advanced in technology or ahead in technology Japan is. Makes sense that, you know, Tony Stark would have some kind of involvement in Japan. That was a very dope story. Check out my review of like Marvel anime Iron Man up on the channel. I did that a year ago when I was covering a lot of Iron Man comics, movies, and TV shows there. So yeah, the last TV show review that I'll be doing for X-Men related property will be Marvel anime X-Men. So look forward to that some point next week, probably in the next week, more than likely. But yeah, I'll have this up on YouTube pretty soon. But if you're watching this on YouTube later on, leave a comment below. Let me know what you thought of the Marvel anime shows, and which I wish they would have kept going with this, because you can easily done a lot more. It's only did 4, and I kind of wish they would have done more. Like, you know, Marvel anime Fantastic Four. The same thing like with you know, Iron Man. It's like Reed Richards in Japan, you know, doing some kind of technology, you know, conference, with Johnny Storm being like, you know, trying to get more, you know, ads and you know, endorsements, being like a big deal in Japan, and get all those little, you know, girls like loving him over in Japan. He's on billboards and whatnot, and you know, Ben Grimm taking in the sites and being popular too, and you know, Sue should be like, you know, helping with the, you know, tech stuff with Reed. But that would have been dope, like Marvel Anime Fantastic Four. Man, they would have kept going. You could have done a lot. Who else? Marvel Anime Daredevil, because dealing with like the hand, you know, going to Japan, Daredevil, you know, taking on the hand in Japan, that'll be amazing. Shoot, there's a lot of characters that you can do a lot with Japan. Spider-Man in Japan would be interesting, because it's not like, you know, it wouldn't be the first time, you know, Spider-Man had like an adventure outside of New York before. But that'll be very interesting where he's like on an assignment for the Bugle for Japan, and he does, you know, he's taking care of like street crime, you know, take care of street crime in Japan, while, I don't know, dealing with one of his adversaries that's like cooking up something in Japan. I don't know, like, you know, Doc Ock, maybe the Kingpin, Green Goblin. But I don't want to keep having to reuse those same tired old, I won't say tired, but it's kind of like using Joker in every Batman story. It gets kind of boring. But there's a plethora of Spider-Man villains that could, you know, at least some of them should be, you know, could easily be used for a Japanese storyline that Spider-Man has to deal with. Marvel Anime Deadpool, that'll be another one. But anyway, let me know what you think, what Marvel character would fit in like a Marvel anime story arc. But anyway, I will see you guys tomorrow for more like video game walkthroughs. It's probably gonna be late because I gotta take care of some other stuff soon. And of course, streaming on Friday will be kind of late because I gotta make a stop at T-Mobile to try to get me like a new phone. Mine is kind of cracked. But Thursday I'll have the Deadpool 2 movie review up for you guys. This will be probably the only one, but the next comic review that I'll be doing will be, I think I'll do like Hope Summers solo story, and then the last solo comics will be Magneto, Quicksilver, then ends with Scarlet Witch before I get into the whole team stuff. Any hoozle, I will see you guys tomorrow. Have a great rest of your night. Be well, be safe, and hopefully I'll see you all soon. Take care.